All right, now two more serious issues. The Trans-Pacific Partnership is something that I've spent a lot of time on, as you well know. And now it's kind of in hedgerow country. There's a real good chance that it might not get addressed this year before the election, and they're going to try to do something with it in the lame duck session. That's when a vote could be possible. Mitch McConnell's done a 180. Apparently there are some tobacco issues that deal with the state of Kentucky, and so he's holding it up, won't go for a vote. Plus, there's a bunch of Democrats, and there are some right-wingers who are swinging knives over in the House saying, no, we can't get this thing done. Those will be verbal knives, by the way. Larry Cohen joins us, former President, Communication Workers of America, and chair of the Democracy Initiative. Larry, good to have you with us.
My pleasure.
The way this has evolved right now on TPP, is it a 50-50 that'll go before the election, or what chance do you give it, and what are the holdups?
It's totally up to the White House. So the way that Fast Track got passed, the so-called Trade Promotion Authority, when the White House sends the Trans-Pacific Partnership to the Congress, it starts another clock. So the first clock was there had to be 90 days for people to read it.
And we're coming up on the end of that, right?
Yeah, and so they're going to sign it on February 4th in New Zealand, and I should alert listeners that that's a day we should mark here in terms of the disgrace of this trade deal and what it does to workers in this country and to the environment. What it doesn't do anything for us. So yeah, February 4th is targeted as a signing day in New Zealand. There'll be demonstrations all over New Zealand against it. And then it's up to the White House. They don't have to send it. If they do send it to Congress, there's then a series of clocks that start that lead to a vote. And again, it's like reading Greek. Every time you read it, you get a different answer. But within about 4 months, there would have to be a vote. They don't have a choice. This is not like the normal way that the Senate or House leadership holds up legislation. That's what Fast Track was all about. They can't hold it up once the White House is in total control.
Okay, so the National Association of Manufacturers and Business Roundtable, along with the Chamber of Commerce, I mean, they come out in favor of the TPP, which it looks like these announcements were made to grease the skids to get momentum and get back into the news cycle. What about that?
No, that's exactly right. Business Roundtable touting it as the major thing this year. That's exactly right. They believe that at the end of the day, they have the ability with their trade associations, and virtually all of them, probably not tobacco, and that's because tobacco got carved out of the outrageous investor-state dispute settlement language arbitration process that's allowed them to sue countries who go to plain package cigarette labeling. And they've done that successfully. Now they wouldn't be able to do it. That's why Mitch McConnell is being triggered, which of course he doesn't tell anyone. But the trade associations, like the ones you mentioned, are going to go all out. And they basically control the Republican Party. They control the funding, for sure, for the Republican Party in an election year. And so how many Republicans are going to stand up and vote no? So there's an up or down vote. You only need a simple majority in the Senate, not the normal 60 to put it on the floor, and a simple majority in the House. Aside from Mitch McConnell, he probably will vote no. But they only need 50 votes. Biden is committed to voting for it. That's going to be the strategy of the Business Roundtable, U.S. Chamber. And sadly, this president sees them as his major allies. His own party is going to vote by probably three-quarter margin no, in both, for sure in the House, and even in the Senate, probably a two-thirds of the Senate Democrats will vote no. He's in total collaboration, led by Michael Froman, with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce across the street from the White House.
So this is a real opportunity for those who want to be president to step out one more time and be crystal clear and to advocate to their friends and colleagues in the Congress to vote no on it. And I'm talking about Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders and Martin O'Malley.
Yeah, I mean, even the Republicans.
I mean, if you're against something, if you think it's bad, and if you want to be president and you don't want to have to deal with this, it would seem to me that the campaign would take a twist on this.
Yeah, and we're going to challenge the campaign. Now I'm speaking as a Bernie supporter and advisor. We're going to challenge the other campaigns. What are you willing to do about this? We don't care about words. Words mean nothing, and the American people are waking up to that in these elections. People will say anything, particularly in primary season. But what will they actually do? And now they're going to be tested. What are you going to do as a candidate, including the Republicans? Most of the Republicans that have a chance of winning have come out against this, not only Trump, but others. And, what are they willing to do to rally people against this and to rally Congress against it? Take San Diego as one example. Both those Democrats in Congress voted for fast track. They were 2 of the 28 right there. What's Hillary Clinton willing to do in San Diego or say to them? And I'm going to tell you the answer is going to be nothing. And we need a wake-up call for people to say, do you want fairy tale politics or do you want politics that are about Lorain, Ohio, and every other industrial city that you've been to and that you've talked about and that we've seen? I'm out here in eastern Iowa. We're devastated in terms of what trade deals have done. I'm going to be talking to people all day, not only about trade, but about, obviously, the Iowa caucuses and how we can make a difference here. This is what people care about here. What's happened to their jobs?
That really is the bottom line. And the question is it going to be a motivator to get people out to do the process of the caucus coming up on February 1st? I mean, I don't think there's a bigger issue out there, and there's certainly no issue that's been undercovered by the mainstream media than this trade agreement, which is going to destroy even more American jobs if it goes through the process. And I don't know where Obama is on this from the standpoint of coming to some conclusion that this is going to be good for our economy. It's going to be good for a few on Wall Street and the wealthy investors. It's going to do nothing for the middle class. Nothing.
Yeah, no, that's right. And it's a huge disappointment compared to what he said here. I was out here supporting him 8 years ago in these same cities. And the difference between what he said then and the realities of this, and when I last spoke to him in May, one-on-one, he said, Larry, you're going to have to say that this trade deal is better than the other ones. And I will not say that. There are some words and window dressing, but in terms of the realities of these jobs and farm equipment and all these other tradable jobs up and down the Mississippi River here on both sides, there is nothing here that will stop the erosion of jobs. In fact, the sucking sound of Vietnam and the wage levels there with 90 million people, it's not a small country, and what that will do to the auto parts industries, the electronics industry in this country. How will any small manufacturer compete here unless they move their production to places where the wages are less than 10% of the cost here in America? That does not help American workers, that there's better language on a couple of the pages.
Those things you just mentioned there set the guidelines and the borderlines for narrowing the field for the risk taker in our system. Why in the world would someone go out and try to start a new business to manufacture when everything is so skewed against you? When the wage issues are what they are. It's not a jobs creator. It's a job killer. And then, of course, there's going to be a huge effort put forward by many in the business sector to move these jobs overseas because of the labor costs and because of the environmental lack of restrictions and all those kinds of things. And so this is the worst thing that this country could ever do to this economy, and that's the verbiage that has to be done. And I don't know if you can't get attention on this in a campaign cycle, when can you get it done?
No, that's right. And one of the worst aspects of TPP is that any country can dock on it. So that means the Philippines, where call center jobs have already gone by the hundreds of thousands. All they have to do is dock on it. There won't be a negotiation, and it doesn't call for that, of any kind of labor provisions about the Philippines, or even worse, China. China itself can dock on this agreement. And when the president says we're going to write the rules, that's what he means. That China is likely to come and dock on the agreement so that they can make use of it, and that everything produced in China will count the same as if it's produced in the United States. That's what Michael Froman and this government has created. And, just like after the fact, everybody said, look what Clinton did with NAFTA. That's what they're going to be saying about Obama. But we have the chance to do something about it now, and that's to rally people, whether it's here in eastern Iowa, as part of this election process and beyond, or across this country, that this is not for the American people. This is for the groups that you mentioned, the Business Roundtable, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the National Association of Manufacturers. What a misnomer that is. This is about them. This is not about the men and women here in Davenport, Iowa, or Bettendorf, or Cedar Rapids, or anywhere else. And hopefully this election gives us a chance to talk about that.
Larry Cohen with us from Iowa today, former president, Communication Workers of America, and chair of Democracy Initiative. Larry, always a pleasure. Great to have you with us. Thanks for your work.